Happy Monday, everybody. This is Marketing Monday. I am here with you guys on this beautiful evening. So today's conversation, we're going to be talking about, as you can see, as the title says, the money is in the follow up. All right. So, with that being stated, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about why this topic is important. As you guys already know, every Monday we talk about marketing discussions, things that'll help you when it comes to your business to make sure that you are reaching certain goals and how to understand how to reach those goals from a marketing perspective. All right. Now, for this particular topic itself, I know a lot of us, we may bypass the follow up. We might not exactly understand what the follow up is, how to operate with it, if it's something that's even important to do. Okay. So, when it comes to this particular follow up topic, I need you guys to listen with me and to try to also attempt these certain tactics and see what they may do for your business. Now, as you guys already know, for those of you who are going to be watching on YouTube, I have my outline with ChatGPT. That way I know what I'm going to say so I can stay on topic, even though this coming from my head. But these are the things that I know of, and I just had ChatGPT break it down for me. All right, so let's get into it. So, first and foremost, we can go ahead and start off with the hook, okay? A lot of you guys don't really have a marketing problem. And I want you guys to hear me clearly. A lot of you guys do not have a marketing problem. It's just about how you do certain things in your business that can affect the way you market your business. All right. So basically, a lot of us, we may forget about the follow up. What is the follow up? All right. The follow up is literally when you are just checking in on a client, on a customer who has reached out to you before about wanting a particular service or a product, and they never got back to you. Something maybe took place, they probably got busy, they got tied up. Either way, they never got back to you, and it was your job to reach back out to them within a few days, maybe a week later, no more than a week, really, and be able to say, "Hey, are you still interested? Is there anything I can help you out with? Do you have any questions about what it is that this offer is that I can help you to ease your mind before purchasing?" Okay, so I know a lot of us, we forget that. We're like, I don't really know if I should do all of that. Maybe it's too much. I don't want to get into a conversation that may not lead to an actual sale. All right. How you doing, Hood Fairy? How you doing? Can you hear me, by the way? I have my mic attached to my camera while I'm on live, and I want to make sure that I am heard clearly. But thank you so much for stopping on by. All right, we are talking about the money being in the follow-up. All right, so another thing that I definitely want to say is when it comes to following up with your customers and your clients. Okay, she said, "Yeah, you're good. I bet. I appreciate that. I appreciate that." So let me ask you a question. All right. Do you follow up with people that reach out to you when it comes to maybe wanting a service, maybe wanting, say, if you teach a class, right, and they reach out to you one time, do you reach back out to them afterwards and say, "Hey, are you still interested in that class? Do you want more information?" Or do you just kind of forget, let it kind of fall by the wayside? Like, what is your process when it comes to reaching back out to clients that may have showed interest at one point? So that's what we're talking about today. All right. So I am gonna say, of course, we'll go to the next step, which is what actually counts as a lead. Okay. So a lead, in my opinion, is usually gonna be one of the things of where I put some type of a post out, some type of an ad out, right? And people respond to it, and they may say, "Hey, I'm interested. I want to get more information." All right, all right. Hood Fairy says typically at least one follow up. All right, cool. So that's good. Now, follow up question to your follow up: what happens after that one follow up? Like, do they typically say, "Okay, go ahead and lock me in," or do they go ghost? Okay, so follow with me for those who are gonna be watching this later. What, of course, this is gonna be usually the steps to kind of follow and how to ultimately lock that person into that sale. All right. So for me, when it comes to my leads, again, it's gonna be people that respond to my posts, my content. In this case, these are all ads, just different variety of ads. So if somebody reaches out and says, "Hey, I love what you do when it comes to your videography. I would love to book you." That automatically is a lead because now I can know, okay, you guys are interested. All right. Now, what are you going to do with that information? Are you going to go ahead and get their email? Are you going to have them locked into an email list? Are you going to have them into a text message list, or are you going to have them into a notifications list where this is somebody that you're going to reach out to once you have a sale going on, and then they're going to be notified of that sale so that they can possibly work with you, right? Because some people, as we know, they aren't always going to follow up, or more so, they're not always going to lock in and pay for whatever service that is on the first time, right? So usually they have to get like 3 or 4 to 5 or more different ways for them to really hear you and see you and ultimately build that trust. All right. So this is, for example, me being on here, me being live right here. For those of you that have been with me on my lives, and you guys already know how I do, I show up here as religiously as possible, right? I'm going to be here every week. I'm going to post something every day. I'm going to share some type of information, some type of value that can help you with your business so that you understand what it is that I do. All right. And the reason being is because when I first started really going heavy on Instagram, I was really mostly focused on just posting my work. All right. It was barely even a lot of BTSs for real, but it was a lot of work, a lot of polished work, finished work. And I was just hoping somebody was going to book me based off of that. But then I also was like, but I know so much about marketing, and I want to be able to, for people to understand that I know so much about it, and ultimately want to lock me in for these particular type of discussions. So I had to show up every week. I had to do it over a year's time span just so people can hear me and see me on a consistent basis and realize, oh shit, she knows what she's talking about. Let's see what else we can do when it comes to locking in with her so that we can get some insight as well. Because at the end of the day, everything that we're doing, especially on this platform, is marketing. All right. So it's not just, I'm just posting this one thing here and then I'm going to get rich. Like, no, you have to have a strategy. You have to understand how to work your strategy to get the results that you ultimately want. All right. So now we're going to go into why people don't buy immediately. Okay. A lot of times, they don't have the money. As we already know, they don't have the money. They may not even necessarily trust you. They might need to talk to their partner, right? You might be comparing you to somebody else. Okay. They don't understand the value yet. Hence why I'm saying drop gems as much as you can. They get distracted. They might have forgot. All valid concerns. All right. So this is where you don't take it personally. You don't say, okay, well, I hit them up, but they didn't say nothing. Now what do I do with it? And you're going to move on to somebody else. But you could be leaving money on the table. Meaning if you would have been like, yo, I hit you up with this information a few days ago. How do you feel about that? Right. And then see what they say. And then, yeah, there may be some times people might ghost you. They might just not respond. And that's okay. Right. Then you make a decision of, do you reach out to them one more time? Or do you just let that be? That would be a decision on you. But for me, if I'm doing my marketing strategies properly, I would like to hit somebody up at least twice, especially if I know the possibility they are actually going to book. All right. They're either going to book or they're going to buy something. All right. So, but you also will notice these same people, a lot of the times, especially on Instagram, they'll be watching you so closely when it comes to what you post, what you do, that they will like a lot of different things. They will watch your stories. Okay. Then every once in a while, they might respond to your story. That's how you know you're getting somebody's trust being built through you. And a lot of times you have to pay attention to that to realize, okay, so they like what's going on, but they're just not ready yet. And that's okay. Because little do you know, the more people that keep coming in as leads, the more that you feed into those leads by building that trust, by giving that value, ultimately those leads will start trickling into actually becoming buyers, especially when you do the follow-up. The more that system, that cycle continues, the more those leads start turning into buyers. Then eventually those buyers start coming in consistently because you have been doing the same thing over and over again to be able to convert them. Okay. So again, it's going to take you maybe a little bit of tries, a good amount of trial and error just to see what actually works, what makes sense for you to continue whatever cycle works best for you and your business. Once you figure that out, rinse and repeat. That's all a lot of this is finding the system that works, going through some type of trial and error, and then rinsing and repeat. Okay. So now when it comes to the follow-up itself, all right, some of us like, I don't want to be begging nobody. I'm not trying to go out here and actually just be asking them over and over and over again. They saw my message, right? They looked at it. They know I got the links in my bio, right? They seen I've been making posts and comments about that, right? And now you're like, I'm not gonna keep asking them. I'm not gonna bother them. I'm gonna let them go. I'm gonna just move on to something else, okay? Now you gotta remember why you're doing this, all right? So when I think about why I do what I do, my actions move according to that why. And what I mean by that is it all goes back to, for example, this live. Me coming live right here. I literally woke up from a nap. I was tired because I had been editing all morning, went to the gym, had my activity level already on high, and I was done. I was like, you know what, I need to take a nap. And I made sure that I set an alarm to come on here. Even if I was a few minutes late, I made sure I came on here. Because you know why? I actually have, and I could show you guys real quick, but I actually have this board right here at the top, and it actually says, remember, I go live every week for my own content just so I can resell it later. Do you see the mindset you have to be in to make sure that you reach certain goals? Just like when it comes to fitness, right? Back when I was really, really heavy in fitness, I knew there was a major goal that I wanted to accomplish, especially when it came to dance. I knew that there was a certain type of body type that I wanted, and I was based off of how I felt about my first performance. And I was like, you know what? I got to change this up. I got to do differently. And I did, okay? And I showed out, okay? And that was because I knew what my why was. It was bigger than just to look good. It was a whole bunch of other things that got connected to it, and I stuck with it. Same thing when it comes to this. When it comes to why you reach out to people, why are you following up? If you got it like that, you got it like that. You might not necessarily need to follow up. People are going to hit you up regardless. They're waiting on you at this point, sending a link. They're like, yo, they're following up with you, right? But if that is not the case, if you are the one that, if you got the lead, right, and they say, you know, I'm interested, and you send them the information, but they're looking at what you got going on, or you're still posting value and they're still around, this is your opportunity to go ahead and say, yo, what's going on? What's up? How can I help you? Right? And then you go from there to lock that sale in. How do you think people lock in big deals? Right? They're not necessarily going in and begging anybody for the work, but they're saying, yo, this is what I can offer you. This is what I can do. Okay. And a lot of times they may reach out to that same company multiple times. All right. We've all seen acrimony. Okay. We don't have to go down the whole plot of the movie, but the concept still remains. When he wanted that, he went and got it and went for it multiple times until he created his own price for it. All right. So people need to think about that. When you are going into a follow-up conversation, you're not going in there begging. You're saying, yo, this is what I can do for you. Right. And it's up to you to decide if you really feel like you need this because I am offering it to you. But in the meantime, if there's anything I could question, please, if that I can answer for you, please give me, question me. Just ask me something, right? So Pink Princess jumped in. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much for stopping in on my marketing live. Anybody that is coming in, I forgot to put my pinned comment on here, but it's all good. As you guys know, I don't trip about a lot of people coming on my lives while I'm live, all right? Because what did my board say? I'm gonna cut this up anyway. It's gonna be content. I'm gonna post this. This video itself might get like 20 views, and then throughout the week, I'm gonna get each of my clips that'd be like less than 2 minutes, maybe a little more than 2 minutes. They all gonna be like 300 plus views each. So I'm not tripping, okay? But people that do show up, I appreciate you, all right? So with that being stated, when it comes to the begging part, as you guys know, that's sending them a whole bunch of different messages back to back. You're like, yo, you need to book with me right now. You need to go ahead and get in on this with me. You need to, like, if you're doing that, I'm not going to want to work with you either. Like, you're doing too much. Make me want you. Make me want to come to you, right? It's just like a relationship, building a relationship. Building rapport. You give them some and you wait for them to want some more. You give them a little bit more and then you wait for them to come back for the others. You know what I'm saying? Like you ease into it without bombarding somebody so much, and then you just blew the whole deal away. Now it doesn't work. Now it doesn't matter because you did too much before you even got them through the door. Okay? So I'm going to go over my follow-up system, all right? And I'm going to tell you the ones that actually have worked for me and what I had to do for them, all right? So there's a couple of things that I do, a couple of different systems that I ultimately use. and I'm gonna break down each one. So I'm gonna start off with the top. The top one is basically whenever I have a client that has reached out, they say, "Yo, I really want to work with you. I need this thing done ASAP." Especially if I can feel the urgency in what they're asking me, then I'm like, "I bet." So I'll reach out to them, right? And especially if it's somebody that is very busy already, I already know in my mind I'm gonna have to reach out to them a few times. So what I'll do is I have the first conversation, which is basically like an interest form of some sort. Then I feel like once I have that information of what they want, then I reach out to them like, yo, I see what you wanted. Let's talk about it. Do you have time today to have a conversation? Or what questions can I ask for you? Let's set something up, right? So most of the time, for the most part, if they are actually really, really interested, they'll respond right away. But if they do not, right, but they're still there, then I might give them a few days. Then I'll reach out like, hey, are you still interested in this said thing, right? Then they could either say, not yet, I'll be back, or they may say, I am, but I'm just like running and taking care of certain things, whatever, right? Then at that point, it's a decision on me on, hey, do I need to follow up with them again? Is this something that is worth it, right? Now, if they have, again, showed me the interest of, I'm ready to lock this thing in now, I can be like, without being too pushy, I can say, hey, this is something I can help you out with. This is what I have available. You don't even have to get on the phone call with me. Let me go ahead and send this invoice, for example, and get you locked in, and then we can go from there. Especially if they already say, yes, I'm ready to go ahead with the quote, right? If I give them a quote. So now, cool, we got the quote down, it's approved, they got the invoice, they already actually go ahead and take care of that said thing. Especially if there is a time frame where that project that they need is coming soon. One thing I do not accept. I do not accept late bookings. I do not like to rush my process to make sure that I am going to get everything together, because you don't know what I might need for whatever your project is. And now I have to kind of pull something out of a hat ultimately just to be able to be prepared and do everything I need to do for yours. I don't like late booking, so I try to avoid it at any cost. That will be my way of saying, hey, I really need to have this in within the next month. Please let me know if you still want to do this or not. And most of the time, about 8 out of 10 times, they are actually going to say, yeah, let me go ahead and do that right now, right? I forgot, right? When I hear that, I'm like, okay. Now, this is the part that makes me feel like I'm begging. I don't like to get in that place of saying, okay, now I got to chase you down for this money. And also, I'm like, but why not? Why not? They showed the interest. You already had the conversation. You built up the trust. And you're not begging. You are literally trying to help them get this thing that they need. And it has a time frame on it. It would make sense for you as the creative to say, you know what? I need to have this in because of such and such and such and such. If you decide you change your mind, we could hold off. Okay? And a lot of times they're going to be like, no. I really want this. Let me go ahead and take care of it right now. A lot of times they're going to do that. Okay? So now, with that being stated, you go through the whole process, and I've had to do this a few times. Go through the whole process, did the booking, and now, all right, cool, I'm waiting for the final payment, right? Waiting for the final payment, it's like, okay, now I gotta reach out to you again because they are just so busy. And this is where, for me, I cannot take it hard. I cannot take it personally and say, oh, they're playing with my time, they're playing with my money. I'm gonna reach out to them. I'm gonna do another follow-up. It's like, yo, this is completed because it's completely done already. Let me know when you are ready so I can go ahead and take care of this. If they are still kind of pussyfooting, then I'm like, okay. Another few days later, I'm like, yo, this is according to the contract. This is what's expected, right? Now, depending, of course, on how you run your contracts, you may withhold content, and not because you're just trying to punish them, but it's like, based on the contract, I can only send you this content if everything is paid for already. So that alone would be like, you know what? I need this content. Let me go ahead and take care of it right now. But a lot of times I don't really have a lot of this issue. Once they've paid the deposit, the work has been done, they usually go ahead and take care of it that same day, right? Some people have a clause where they want people to pay them before the shoot day. I'm not that strict on mine. I want you to see me come in first. I want you to see me come in, but the deposit is gonna lock me in. But once I get in and I get the work done, then after that, then you can go ahead and finish the payment. That way you get whatever you need, right? You're not waiting on me at that point. All you waiting on me is for whatever final edits and retouches, all of that. That's it. But the raw stuff, that's coming to you, okay? So that is one way that I do my top projects, like the ones that I really have to send out invoices for because they're X amount of money, like they're up there, right? For the other stuff, that's going to be probably like a book sale, all right? So currently I'm selling my ebook. Now, how I have had to understand how to sell the ebook, because I'm great at promoting services. I can promote a service all day long, and that's me putting a manual labor into it. But then when it comes to digital products, I'm still trying to figure it out. But I have learned that along this process, there is a method to it. So usually, like you guys have been seeing, if I make a post about, for example, my Canon T7 series that I have out right now, somebody might come on there and be like, hey, I really want to be able to understand how to use my camera just like you do. Then I said, okay, bet. They done did the CTA, which is basically just typing in start. Next thing you know, I'm hitting up with a message, and it's not automatically automated, right? Right now, I'm manually reaching out to people. How you doing? How you doing? It's good to see you on here. I haven't seen you in a minute, bro. How's everything going? We talking about the follow-ups, right? As a photographer, do you follow up with your clients, with your leads, okay? So usually I go in there and I have a conversation with them, right? A lot of times they'll get into there and they'll respond. Other times they may just be like, you know what, just send me the link. I'm ready. Let's go ahead and make it happen. And that'll also take place. And then sometimes they'll hit the call to action, and then they'll still go ahead and just buy the link anyway without me having to send it, because they already have trusted in what I am providing to them. Hence me doing this work, me putting in the efforts every single day, every single week, just to make sure that I show up so people can know what I have to offer. All right. So as you can see, there are levels to it, right? So everything is not going to be the same, but depending on what you're offering to people is going to be determining what system you should have in place, so that way your results can still be had and met. All right. So that is one way of doing the follow-up. All right. And this way, you know for a fact, you're not harassing nobody. You just reaching out. You're creating a process that people are going to observe and respect, and ultimately decide if they want to work with you or not. All right. And never being so pushy that they'll say, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore because you're hitting me up too much. You're doing too much. Right. So that's one method of how you can do the follow-up. Right. So then it goes into you follow up with owed money. Okay. So have you guys ever noticed when you have had clients in the past where you haven't worked with them anymore, and they probably lost contact, they probably switched businesses, they're probably doing something different? In this case, this could be a situation to where you could reach out to your old contacts, okay? People that you worked with in the past, all right? I haven't done this a whole lot myself, but it is a method that I definitely want to enact and to try out. I hear Gary Vee talk about this a lot, basically just going into your old email list, for example, and say, hey, just checking in on people, right? It doesn't have to be, oh, hey, I'm doing this right now, go ahead and lock me in. Like, it doesn't have to be that way, because now you're coming off salesy and spammy. But just checking in on people. Sometimes they may be like, yo, are you still doing graphic designs? Like, that's the question I would normally get, right? Are you still doing graphic designs? And then I could say, no, I'm not right now. Actually, I do videography. But if I have a client that is getting a package and does needs graphic designs, then that could be an offer that could be made. But I don't just do designs by themselves anymore, which I used to, right? But now that I have packages in place, I don't just do single one-off graphic designs anymore, right? So that'll be a way of going in to find your old money, basically tapping into the old list of people that you used to do business with, all right? Do not take it as if everybody that you ever worked with, they have an expiration date. For the most part, everybody that you have worked with is still a client, is still a lead, until they tell you to stop hitting them up. Now, if you get to a place to where you're reaching out to people, you're just sending them valuable information, and they say, you know what, I want to unsubscribe, then that's when you should kind of not hit them up anymore, right? But if it's at a place they're not telling you that, and they're still looking at the emails, they're still opening them up. Like if you have an email system, you can tell when somebody has opened up your email and clicked on a link. That will let you know that it's working. So if that's still happening, you can still keep sending out that value, because eventually they're going to reach back out to you and say, yo, I want to be able to go ahead and do this said thing. I've been watching you for a minute. I've been waiting to get my money up. It could be a variety of things. All right. So Hence why I say you keep doing the follow-up system, because eventually they're going to trickle down to being those buyers. And the more that you keep doing the follow-up system, the list of the buyers are going to go up. And ultimately, the buyers are going to be consistent because you keep feeding the machine. That's all that is. You're feeding the machine. All right. So now I have a challenge for you guys. All right. So I want you guys to start working on your follow-ups, because you don't know how much money you're leaving out on the table. So you could be missing out on somebody that had reached out to you. Then maybe you didn't even see the message. I've had those in the past. Facebook message requests used to irritate me, but message requests. Sometimes it does a lot of good to go through those message requests and see who messaged you, because you can be missing out on information. You could be missing out on the deal. You could be missing out on money. Okay, so challenge is going into people's inboxes that had reached out to you in the past, just checking in. Once you check in and then you see what they're doing, having an actual conversation. It doesn't have to be very long-winded, but having an actual conversation that you see, okay, where can I help you at? Are you still needing my help? You know what I mean? And then once you get that answer, you can determine what you can do from there. Are you going to send them a link? Are you going to send them a video? Are you going to send them a message that's going to answer their question? Are you just going to answer the question altogether, right? For me, I have no issues answering questions in my DMs. So if somebody asks me something about, hey, how do you normally do this? I'm going to answer the question, and then I'm going to create content around that question, okay? I'm never just going to leave it as it's just a question that, of course, for the most part, a lot of people are already answering. For the most part, a lot of people are already asking. I am just now creating a way to answer the question on a wider scale for anybody else that might want to know, all right? So I want you to go through your old lists, old clients list. I want you to go to those people that had reached out to you, asking you questions about your services. I want to go hit those people up that asked you about your ebook, if you have one, and let's just check in with them. See what they're saying, all right? Try to follow up with them at least 3 times. Try to do it at least 3 times. See what happens, and then track it, okay? You can do that on Google Sheets. You can, if you have whatever spreadsheet, Excel you want to use, you can do that there and see what happens. That could change your whole perspective on the follow-up versus saying, oh my God, all these people keep hitting me up about the same thing, but nobody's booking. There's a reason why. There is a reason why. We can't automatically just write them off and say, you know what, they're not serious. Maybe you didn't reach out to them enough, or maybe they didn't feel like you were giving them enough information. And because of that, now they decided they're going to reach out to somebody else and book them instead. How you doing, Jasmine? I appreciate you coming on here, bro. I am honored. Thank you so much for stopping by. It is a pleasure to see you on here. All right. Tonight, I'm doing a Marketing Monday Live. Just talk about the follow-up. The money is in the follow-up. People do not understand. Following up with your clients, following up with your customers, your leads, it makes a big difference. It's literally the same thing as having an email list of people you have worked with in the past and going ahead and reaching out to them. Say, hey, I've been doing this. Every month, you keep them updated. Hey, I've been doing this. Now they're like, oh, shit, she got an event coming up. Oh, snap, she got a workshop that's taking place. Oh, snap, she got a content day that's about to take place, which reminds me, I got to do that this week, all right, because I got one coming up. So with that being stated, for everybody that's trying to make, basically trying not to leave money out on the table, it's going to be in the follow-up, all right? Do not throw it away. Do not let it go without you attacking that. There are so many different ways in business where we are leaving money on the table. And a lot of times it's in the people we have already talked to and we just bypass them. And now they don't found somebody else to work with because we did not follow up. All right. So with that being stated, I didn't even go through none of this outline, by the way. I think I just got the title and was like, you know what? That's all that's going to be. But it's all good. So yeah, so definitely do those 5 steps for me, or not the 5 steps, but definitely do those challenges for me and let me know what you guys think. And I will see you guys on next week. So this Thursday, as you guys know, I usually do my photography mistakes is what it's called, because what I'll do is I'll get on there, I'll start shooting. I will just be having whatever topic that's going to be for that day, and I will record it, but I'll do it on YouTube. All right. I'm going to see if I can do it on TikTok too this Thursday. So if you want to see me during a photo session, a videography session, ask me any question that you may have. We're going to be there doing that this week. And then I will see you guys on next Monday with the next topic. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I appreciate you. And I'll say you guys have a good night.